video with me, JD. You were joining me for the round 21 review, where we scored 24-4-6. Another score of about par, moving at 14 ranks. So really hovering around this mark at the moment. Still obviously hoping for a top 100 push, and maybe this week was the platform for that to happen, because of course the big news is that Dacos has been injured. He's going to be out for the rest of the home and away season. I think it's 6 weeks is what they said, and we've got, what is it, 3 now remaining. We do have 3 weeks remaining, so he will be out for the rest of the year. And this is where those that have been able to hold on to those extra trades, which is what we've been preaching, will get a little bit of a leg up over the comp in these last few weeks. And I must say, it's a bit of a weird position. I don't really like being in this part of the year where you're gambling on having enough trades left to cover enough injuries to close out the year. And I've actually, I think, got some ideas around how we could change the trade system, some out there ones, but that's going to be a video for another day, maybe tomorrow, we'll see. But we'll focus on this week for now. So we'll just quickly go through the team first, and then obviously jump into the Dacos trade options for those that do have trades. And interestingly enough, I was checking SuperCoach data before, and it looks like roughly 35 to 40% of coaches in the top 1,000, top 100 only will have 0 trades left. So if they've got a 23rd premium, then they'll be using that for cover from here on out. If they don't have a 23rd, and that's assuming they didn't have like Walsh or someone else that was injured. If they don't have a 23rd premium, then they'll be just covering with a rookie or potentially copying donuts. So, I still need to make up a fair few spots, but with that many coaches that potentially copying zeros from here on out, it does give me a bit of an advantage. All right, so quickly start in defense. Everyone here was good apart from Dacos, who was tagged out of the game, and then of course injured as well, which very unfortunate end to the year for him. I guess it makes the Brownlow a little bit more interesting. Like there's a chance for someone like Bont to come and snag it with a few extra playing rounds. But disappointing for him, disappointing for SuperCoach. And so it was, of course, he's a trade. Now, the one that you'd love this to be is Sicily, who was back to his freed up role. I think I tweeted a couple of weeks ago that he's scoring with blank is much better. And yeah, with him back on the side, it really frees him up. And they were happy to switch it through him. And there was no attention given to him whatsoever. Whether the Dogs changed that this week, I'm not sure. They're not exactly one known for tagging. Melbourne the week after, they're not really known for tagging. They have done defensive roles occasionally, but it's not like they're known for it. And then the last week of the year is Freo, who, they tagged with Young this week. They used, I think, someone different for Sicily, but maybe they could put a tag on him. But yeah, there's a chance he gets through all 3 of those games unscathed. So Sicily, very good option from here to the end of the year. Doherty looked like he was going to have a poor score, but his last quarter in that game was huge. Sinclair just carries on. Stewart was another one that started slow and came home strong. I think Dawson did the same, and then I thought Day was pretty good for most of that game. The mids here, they were good. Bont was good. VCC was interesting. Tossing this up, and I don't know if I would have gone Bontempelli. I think I would have gone Bontempelli over English, actually. English has been going the 130s, but I was worried about the Nank-Soldo double match up in the end. But, I always try and put the vice captain on my preferred VC option. That was merit, I thought that was going to be the top scorer of the week if I had to pick someone. And it meant passing on Bont, which was a shame. But look, a 143 still a good score, even though I lost 10 points. But yeah, Bont was huge again. Everyone's got him. It doesn't really matter. Petrarca continues to be amazing. His average is up over 120, which is phenomenal, especially given that he's playing more forward of the ball. But he keeps getting it done in terms of taking contested marks, kicking goals, and then when he's in the centre, he's impactful. How things change with Oliver back will be interesting to see. But yeah, he's been great. Laird, this was a disappointing game. He was another one that started very slow and came back. Brayshaw was good from the very little bits of this game I saw. Same with Sarong, but yeah, Freo. It's just disappointing. Butters, after a couple of disappointing weeks of him being in my side, he's actually come really good. So very glad I've got him at the moment. Neil got tagged second week in a row, and look, he's shown vulnerability to it. What's their matchup this week? The Crows? I mean, yeah, they've used Keys as a tagger in the past, so it would make sense for them to do something similar. It's weird, though, because they've obviously got Crouch now in the rotation with Laird and Dawson, and do they bump one of those out for Keys to tag Neil? Like, they could do, but Crouch and Laird can't really play any other position, and I don't think you're moving Dawson off because Keys, Crouch, and Laird as a midfielder is too one-dimensional. So I guess we'll see what happens there. And then Cogs was pretty good. He actually had a positive ratio, which is always a surprise when that happens. Yeah, because I need it for Supercoach, but not for fantasy. So just surprise. Davies come back and played 2 games. I did predict he would come back. Just these are very disappointing games as the sub. He's losing even more money. He's not providing any good scores, and now he's not a rookie cover. Fletcher, I didn't see enough of this game to judge him. Like, it's funny because I every time I turn to the TV, he seemed to be doing something nice. And then I like checked the end. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I must have seen like the 3 or 4 moments he had for the game, and that was it. Melican, I'm hoping, is back this week in terms of cover. And then in the rucks, yeah, Gordon Marshall, English and Marshall were both good. The one that is absolutely going gangbusters is Gorn, who had another big week. And he's just, him and Petrarca were both rested for half of the fourth quarter, and he still had another big score of 130. I mean, these 4 weeks are just insane. Anyone that was jumped on for whatever reason is absolutely laughing. And what Carlton didn't go boo today against Marshall, so he could go reasonably go big again. Then Hawks, like they have been restrictive, but that seems to have eased up a little bit. And then Swans, I mean, they even have rucks. So yeah, Gorn could go big till the rest of the year as a luxury trade if you wanted to jump off someone. But yeah, I mean, they rested him. If Melbourne continue to blow out games, could they rest him some more? Maybe. But I mean, he's still getting it done regardless. So yeah, he's been immense. And I'm sure if we look at 3 or 5 round averages, he'll be up there with the top guys. And then in the forward line, yeah, Dunks was disappointing. Like, Neil got tagged and outscored him. Just, yeah, that's sad. Clearly, I don't, he must not be right. Because, yeah, just very uncharacteristic of what we've seen from him once he kind of settled from the early part of the year. Goulden continues to get it done. I mean, he's got to be the best wing in the competition, or at least like best outside player. He's just phenomenal. Yeah, he's got these down games, and he'll get to the point where he starts probably getting tagged or getting paid attention. But just look at this stretch here. Apart from the 66, he's had like every game over 115 since round 15. That's just nuts, including 2 150 scores and a 140. Like, yeah, just crazy. He's going to be mid only next year, which is a shame because he's been very fun to own. Rosie's continues to be good. Cameron, after a couple of big games had, more quiet game. I mean, it is that Hawks matchup, and Carlton also not Carlton, Collingwood got beat, which is not the norm. Tough match coming up against the Cats too. Interesting how they'll bounce back and how they adjust to that day, Goss. And then Taranto continues to be poor. This back half of the year post-bye has just not been great. He's had 1 ton and 5 sub-tons compared to the start of the year where he had, 2 sub-tons in 15 rounds or something. And then, Daniel, just painful. How he kicks 2 goals in a blowout game in the first quarter, gets to 40-something, and then finishes the game on 79. Just ridiculous. That second quarter, he had so many uncontested touches that he just seemed to, clang or inefficiently dispose. I don't know when I brought him in. It must have been round 18 or something. And he's just put 4 goose eggs in a row. Like, just absolutely shocking. And now he's played forward of the ball. It's just terrible. The roll is bad. He's not playing well. It's just been a disaster trade pickup. And I'm pretty sure that picking him over someone else, even like Sheasel, who hasn't been great, but like it's not going to matter that much. But like this, I think it's going to affect who I can get with Dacos, which we'll have a look in a second. Because from Bryce Mitchell's projections, I was short on getting Sicily by 2K. So I feel like Caleb Daniels hurt me in many, many ways. The only positive thing about him, to be honest, is the fixture is still good on the run home from here. So, yeah, hopefully he goes all right. Hawks, West Coast, next couple. We look forward to that. Even though, I mean, Hawks have been good. They've been winning. Okay, so yeah, the only real big thing this week is what do we do with Dacos, which is of course a trade if you have a trade, and then who are you going to trade to? Well, um, let's start. Let's get the bad news first of all. Can I get James Sicily? Uh, why? Why? Give me a loan. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that absolutely sucks. Okay. All right, we'll figure that out in a second. So, firstly, if you're looking for defenders, who have we got on the list here? And I think we've still got some of the big dogs, Dawson, Stewart, Sinclair, if you don't have them. And then Doherty is probably the one that many people will be looking at. 3-round average of 118, 5-round of 111. He's been good since he's been back. Fixture's not the best in Melbourne Gold Coast GWS for the Blues. And they've been winning, which obviously helps the scoring a little bit as well. But yeah, I mean, with some of the injuries they've got and some of the other people underperforming, I think he'll continue to be a good option. So you could definitely go Doherty. Yeah, Sheasel's role got scuffed, so he's straight off. Houston's kind of reverted a little bit. We've always said he's up and down. Duality of Houston, 176, 61 in the same 1 month period. His next 3 games: GWS, Freo, Richmond. The Freo and Richmond ones should be okay. I don't love the GWS matchup, although it's at home. And then Luke Ryan, who's got the West Coast matchup, which he went, 105. They're not the best for defenders to score on just because you have the ball forward of centre so much. And once the game's over, you're like, uncontested chip mark doesn't do much. So look, he's definitely one that you could consider. What are the other games? Port and then Hawks. Hawks, he went 109 on earlier in the year. Port, they didn't play. They're restrictive. You could go Luke Ryan. I don't really love that as an option. So, yeah, like Sicily is easily a number 1 pick here if you can get to him. And then if you don't have any of Dacos, Stewart, Sinclair, Doherty, I'd look at those ones. And then let's have a look at the old 3-round average of the hot hand. So Newman is 144, 137 the last couple. I think you could look his way. Melbourne is probably okay for defenders. Gold Coast, I think, is okay for defenders. GWS probably not as good, but he scored well on them earlier this year. Well, this 121, 32 are both against these 2 teams this year and hasn't played Ds. So, yeah, I think you could look at Newman as a pod option, 543k. Bailey Dale's in good form, but with JJ back, I don't love him as much. This fixture is soft, as I was pointing out, so he could continue to go well, but probably not preferred option. Lloyd, I wouldn't touch. Ridley's injured. And then really the only other option to talk about is probably Jack Zeeble, which I don't think is really what you're going to be doing if you're looking for... Like, if you've just got 1 trade, I think some of the other plays we talked about is a better option. But if you've got 2 trades and you want to put Dacos down to Zeeble, free up money, and then do another trade elsewhere, I guess you could look at Jack Zeeble, especially if he's going to end up then as your 23rd player. It looks like Clarko is going to give him that Joker Verb Seagull role to close out his career for the last few games. So if he does that, then I like him as a 23rd option. You could look at that as a play. All right, so that's the case for many people. And look, I've got a lot of those good defenders I was talking about. So realistically, and I can't get Sicily, which we've established, which is just heartbreaking. So the only good thing, I guess, about having Daniel in his side and his redeeming quality is going to be I can move him into defense. I can move Butters into my forward line. And I can look at really either here a mid or a forward option to trade in as well. So I'm going to be doing that. Look, there are lots of good options that you could point to. And look, like you either just sort by average. If you want to take a punt on Oliver coming back, you could do that this week, although I probably wouldn't, just given how that's played out, and they need to rest him up for finals and manage him through to that. So yeah, there's players here with some good averages, but like just look down this list, and I'd say, LD was a little bit disappointing, but his run home is nice. Honestly, like everyone in this top 12, I would recommend. I wouldn't go Neil, wouldn't go Taranto. I'd get Butters if you don't have Butters. I wouldn't go Trelaw, even though he's been in good form. I like Parish. He's still got the North matchup. Brayshaw you could go as well. I mean, Green, I probably wouldn't go. I don't love GWS's fixture. So for me, it really comes down to like Sarong, LDU, Libba, Oliver. Those are like the four that I don't have. Let's just check 3-round average if I'm missing anyone else. Yeah, I'm not looking at Trelaw. I'm not looking at Whitfield. I'm not looking at Crouch, even though he's in decent nick. So for me, I think it's probably going to be Libba. Hawks, West Coast, Cats is the next 3. Hawks have been a tough matchup just because their mids have been winning it at clearance. The tag won't go to Libba because I just don't think Finn can tag Libba, or I just don't know why they would. Got other players that are better suited to taking that tag. I mean, you could have someone like Newcomb or Day standing him and doing like more defense stuff, but I think Day probably goes to Bont. So yeah, and then West Coast, I don't really have a matchup here, so he'll just win it at the coalface. And then the Cats, I think he probably should beat up on that midfield too, and he's got good history against them. Hasn't gone below 110 last 3 against them. I mean, yeah. So I think it might be Libba. He's in really, really good form at the moment. Last month, he hasn't gone below 120. Now, look, he is prone to some poor scores. So I think, he's got 3 or 380s in here for the year. So that's the concern. You get one of those next 3 weeks, it feels pretty bad. Just looking at LDU, so he's been in really good form as well since returning. Definitely had a bit of a down game this week, but had 3 130s or 4 130s basically before that. Was it 134, 129, 133, 127, and then 106. Essendon, Richmond, and Gold Coast, like nothing too scary there in terms of matchups. So could go well in all those, but I don't know, he just didn't look like the same LDU under Clarko. It's probably just an off game, probably nothing to read into. And then, yes, Wrong's the last one here. So 2 really nice matchups in West Coast and Hawks, but then the Port matchup, not as good. It's at home, which at least is nice. Like 2 of these 3 at home. Hawks is at the MCG. Yeah, West Coast he absolutely beat up earlier this year. Hawks he did a ton on. Port are tough to score on. So that's the other one. Like the West Coast matchup's really nice. But Libba has that as well. So I think it might just be Libba. 120 average. 143 round average. Just ride the hot hand. The other one that I probably would look at, which I don't know if I could afford anymore, but it would be Gone. Like if one of these rucks had forward status, I'd probably move them forward, get Gone in, and that's who I'd look at. But I think this is going to be my final trade for the year, going Dacos to Libba. Strengthen that midfield a little bit more. That's how the team looks. I mean, yeah, Daniel here at D6, Day here. Like, yeah, if one of these was Sicily, I'd be much more happy with that. I'd still rather have like Sarong in this midfield than one of these forwards. And like, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's all right. I don't know if it's enough to get me to top 100 though from here. Okay, so let's talk vice captain, and close out the video for the week. Vice captain. Okay. All right, so we've got Essendon North up on Saturday. So I think that is a reasonable option if you want to look at someone like Merritt again. There's a good chance Essendon get beaten that game, just given how bad we were against West Coast. But Merritt was one of the ones that stood up. I said before the game, kind of semi-jokingly in Discord, that I'd be more disappointed with a Merritt sub 150 than West Coast winning, like with the upset. And to be honest, I almost got both. Yeah. Okay, so Stewart has the Pies. Look, he's always an interesting one as a VC. He got injured against them earlier in the year, but had, I think, a decent record against that before that. And they just gave up that massive score to Sicily. So, look, Tom Stewart is definitely in consideration for a VC if you don't have anyone better. Merritt against North. Is his history all right against them? Yeah, 137, 140 in the last 2. So, yep, I think that's a pretty good option. Could they tag him? Potentially something they could give him attention. I mean, they did that last game, right? He kicked 2 goals. Wait, no, he crushed him in the first quarter. Then they hard tagged him with shields, so he moved forward and kicked goals. Yeah, it does make me worry about him as a captain option. So you probably wouldn't go Stewart into Merritt, but if you wanted to VC one of those two, you could. Sydney Gold Coast not touching anyone in those matchups. Brisbane against Adelaide, very hard to trust anyone at the moment. If this was at Adelaide Oval, I could see myself vice captaining. No, actually, even then, I couldn't see myself vice captaining anyone. So Neil is going to get tagged every week. Dunkley is still not 100% / out of form. And then the Crows boy seems to have been affected negatively by Crouch being in that midfield mix. And if they bring in a tagger as well, it's probably going to hurt. So I don't think anyone is an option realistically from that game. Carlton, Melbourne at the G. So Oliver's back, and Carlton's one of the better midfields to for stopping scoring. So you're probably not looking at either of the D's boys, and no one from Carlton is really relevant from a vice captain, unless it's in a very soft matchup. So I don't think anyone there. West Coast Freo, I think both Brayshaw and Sarong are reasonable options in this. If you have Luke Jackson, and he probably is a trade-in target this week, West Coast's ruck got suspended. So Luke Jackson is going to have an absolute field day playing against someone from the Waffle. So scoring history isn't great against him, but he's going to be solo rucking against nobody. Port are playing a rookie as well in Vicen. Well, I can't even say it right. I need the name in front of me. And then Hawks that's going to be the tougher one. But I mean, this West Coast Port run in the next two, if you've got him, he's only a vice captain though. You could never captain him, I don't think. So, not there. All right, then we've got Dogs against the Hawks. So, I think Bont is an option here for captain, or Libba if you've got him, or English as well. Bont went 122 on them last time. I think we saw Libba had a good score, and then English didn't do as well. That's right. Reeves has been restricted when he's been playing. So, I think backup option of Bont, Merritt into Bont seems reasonable, or, Merritt into Lib or something like that. Otherwise, if you don't, you could be Stewart into Bont, I think is reasonable too. Or Stewart. Could McGuinness go to Bont? I just don't think it matches up well. So probably not, but they could use Connor Nash. Connor Nash isn't as restrictive as McGuinness is though. Saints, Richmond at Marvel. So with the way Steele's been playing, I probably wouldn't touch him even in that nice matchup. Marshall against Nank, I wouldn't do as captain. And then last game, GWS Port, and I probably wouldn't look at anyone from that matchup. So for me, it sounds like, just talking out loud, Stewart, Bont, Libba, Merritt, probably 4 of my top 5, and then maybe pick one of the Freo boys into that soft matchup against West Coast Freo. They're the ones I'd be looking at this week, and probably the ones I'll be weighing up. I might have missed someone, but those are the ones that come to mind. Okay, so question for the week. Let me know if you're trading Dacos or holding him. And if you're holding him, do you have a rookie cover or a 23rd that'll cover for him? I'm curious to see. Or or you're just copying a donut. What situation are you in? Because it's for those who've got trades, this is where you get that little bit of an advantage in the last couple of weeks. But for people like me, I've still got 3 more rounds to survive without another big injury. Otherwise, I need Fletcher to find some good form again, Melican to play a game, maybe Roberts to play a game, because I'm struggling for cover now too. And unfortunately, I can't swing Daniel forward anymore. I can use Gilby, but now that I've used my last trade, I actually can't loop Polling back into the forward line, so I'm stuck with it the way it is. Okay, well, thanks as always for tuning in. Hope you had a good week, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.